This is Forza Horizon 5 on the PlayStation 5. And this is Forza Horizon 5 on the Xbox Series X. And finally, this is Forza Horizon 5 on the PC. And today, we're gonna put them head to head to see what the differences are. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at the quality differences, the loading times, the weird things I spotted while playing and reviewing all of this footage, and some of the weird glitches and differences that I found. We're going to talk about all of that in today's video and a little bit more, so buckle in. Before we get too far into today's video though, I just want to set the stage and make sure everybody is on the same page. So let's talk about some PC specs first. I'm playing this off my gaming PC, which has a 4080 Super in it, a Ryzen 9 9950X with 64 gigs of RAM, and the game is installed on an SSD. The PC settings are on Ultra, but I've locked the FPS to 60 because that's actually the maximum that you can show on YouTube. And last but not least, PC has enhanced ray tracing turned on. But for those of you who don't know, ray tracing in Forza Horizon 5 is weird. You can refer to this chart here to see what ray tracing does depending on where you're driving or if you're in the garage, and what quality setting you're playing on. Since I'm on Ultra, it should be visible everywhere, but ray tracing's even weirder than that because it only applies to car reflections of itself. Say, for example, you can see the reflection of the wing mirror or the rear wing in the paint job of your car. That will be ray traced, but the world around you won't be. It's a bit of a weird system, but I just wanted to address that right at the start. Meanwhile, the Xbox is my Xbox Series X that I record a bunch of my videos with. It's running 4K 60 FPS with performance mode. Again, side note, I play in performance mode and I recommend you play in performance mode as well so you can get a perfectly stable 60 FPS pretty much regardless of what you're doing or where you're going. Meanwhile, my PlayStation is a PS5. I actually don't have a PS5 Pro, so I'm just using the PS5 that I have. It's, again, also the one that's more common out there in the world, and it's also running performance mode. The last thing I'm going to say is every single setting for the Xbox and the PlayStation is as they came out of the box. I reset them all to default. For 99% of the options, they're exactly the same. Except for one. The PlayStation 5 comes with a standard long motion blur, and the Xbox, for some reason, is on short. I have absolutely no idea why that's the case, but it is, and it's a little bit strange, but I thought I would mention it here at the start of this video, because you will notice some differences in the blurring, but we'll get to that in a second. I've got to assume, in theory, you could match every single setting on the Xbox and the PlayStation so they would look exactly the same. But I wanted to play the way the vast majority of people would by just putting the game on and starting to play. And this is what I got. So with all of that out of the way, which one looks the best? If you ask me, it's gotta be the PC. It looks fantastic. It's unbelievably sharp. If I pause all three of the gameplays right here, look into the distance and just look at like the mountains in the distance and the small little details on the back of the car, the way the rear wing attaches to the hatch on this BMW. The PC looks the sharpest by far. I don't know how well it'll come across on YouTube after YouTube like compresses the video and everything like that, but the PC, without a doubt, looks the best. What about the Xbox and the PS5 though? Well, if you ask me, they honestly look very, very similar, if not identical. The colors are probably the biggest difference though. It seems like the PlayStation and the PC, depending on where you are in the world and what you're doing, almost seems like they have a little bit more contrast and like almost vivid colors in a sense, which I found quite strange considering the settings should be identical. As for the actual graphics themselves though, differences between the Xbox and the PC, I'm gonna say there's hardly none, if none at all. All of the models are exactly the same. All of the graphics and everything in the distance seems to be pretty much the same. The only true graphics-based difference is the motion difference that I mentioned earlier, and I've got to assume that's just down to the setting. Again, it's only really one of those things that when you put them side by side and you pause them at exactly the same point, that's when you go, oh, I guess there's a bit of a difference there, but it's nothing major. What about the loading times, though? Those have got to differ a whole bunch between these three, right? Wrong. Again, they are almost identical in the loading times, which is actually really surprising considering the kind of differences built into this test here. This is actually the most surprising thing I noticed when I put all this footage side by side. The loading time was almost identical between all three platforms. I tried to do as much real-world testing as I could do, kind of fast traveling from one side of the map to the other, loading into races, loading into showcases, and I kind of got similar-ish results. The PC loaded fastest into Rivals, for example, followed by the PS5, finally the Xbox. But when I tried to load into a showcase, the Xbox loaded the fastest, followed by the PS5, and then the PC, which kind of surprised me. I don't know about you guys, but I was actually really surprised by these results. And not only in the fact that they were similar, but how similar they were. One of the only areas where you'll actually notice a big difference in how long it actually takes to get into the gameplay is when you start the games up from being completely shut down. The Xbox and the PC will get you into the game significantly faster than the PS5 version, but that's only because the PS5 version has a new intro from Panic Button, who actually developed this port for the PlayStation 5. And without that, again, they're fairly similar. What about the weird stuff, though? There's gotta be some weird differences between these three versions, right? Right, there are some weird differences. In my testing, the PS5 version of the game has had some weird sound stuff. When I spin the camera around in the PS5 version, the sound will kind of cut in and be louder at the back of the car than it is at the front of the car. Take a listen. I've got to assume the game is trying to do something with like a surround sound or something, but I tried to go in and mess around with every setting in FH5 and on the PlayStation itself to try to get it to not do that, and I wasn't able to change any of the results. I don't know if it's a weird glitch because this is currently early access that's going to be fixed later on, but I thought I would mention it in this video. While I was doing this showcase event, I had the game go slow-mo on me on the PC and the PS5, but it didn't go slow-mo on the Xbox for some reason, which was a little strange. The only other weird thing I noticed, which wasn't really weird at all, is the PS5. Obviously, I'm using the PS5 controller, which has the adaptive triggers, and in Forza Horizon 5, that equates to the brake actually feeling heavier than the gas pedal, which is a really cool sensation. If you're somebody who turns ABS off, it's a really cool sensation when you start to lock up your brakes and you can kind of feel the controller almost pushing against you in a sense. Really cool. So in conclusion, which version of Forza Horizon 5 is the best? It's the PC version, but you knew that already. Duh. When it comes to the Xbox and the PlayStation 5, though, they're basically exactly the same. They're actually so similar, I considered not even making this video because I was like, am I gonna have anything to talk about? And I'll be honest, I kind of spent this whole video going, wow, they look exactly the same. I thought it might be something that people actually want to see with all three versions side by side. I've actually seen people say similar things for other Xbox ports onto the PS5. I've seen things recently with Indiana Jones when that made its debut on the PS5. People said the game is basically the same on the Xbox and the PS5. And for Forza Horizon 5, I think it's even closer than that. Maybe you can argue the colors are a little bit different in certain areas, the contrast is a little bit different, but your TV or your monitor that you're playing on will change all of that for you anyway. All this to say, play whichever version of the game you want. They're basically all the same, and I look forward to seeing you online. I hope this video helps. Okay, bye.